This is the Amy Edwards Show, and I'm your host, Amy. This show is here to help all of us live our best life and feel amazing at absolutely every age. We focus on transformation and empowerment through practical tools, strategies, habits, and mindset shifts that will help you unlock your potential, build self-love, and embrace your unique journey. We'll cover everything from health and wellness to personal growth and spirituality with inspiring guests and real conversations. So if you're ready to level up, break out of your comfort zone, and make lasting changes, you're in the right place. It's never too late. In fact, some of your best days haven't even happened yet. Let's get to it. Love this moment and make the next one even shinier.
All right. Hello and welcome to the show. Oh my God, y'all. We're talking about something I'm really excited about. Midlife Eros. Oh my God, hello. Just saying it feels good, right? Yeah, I know that I've come into mine. And so I'm pretty thrilled to introduce you today to Nisha Moodley, our resident expert today. Nisha is a leadership coach and facilitator and the founder of Global Sisterhood Day. And you are particularly passionate about guiding women and Midlife Eros as the fuel for leadership. So I have had a few episodes that have touched on this kind of topic. So I'm very excited to welcome you today.
Thank you.
You bet.
I'm so grateful to be here.
Me too. No, I think let's just take a step back and say, what is midlife? How old are you?
Great question.
What is
At the
midlife?
time of this recording, I'm 45.
You're 45?
I'm 45, and I know how old you are. I was like, what? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're 45.
I'm 45.
You do not look it. We were just talking about your bangs
I
and
think
how
we
you feel like it.
qualified.
Yeah, we qualify. I'm 52.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
45. And like when somebody's like, am I midlife? What do you say?
I think midlife is like somewhere between 35 and 60.
I do too.
It's what we define it as, right? So if someone is 35 and they're like, yep, I'm in midlife, then you're in midlife. And if someone's in 60 and they're like, I'm in midlife, I'm like, great, you're in
You may live
midlife.
to 120. Who are we to say? We don't know.
We don't know. We're not at the
Yes.
beginning,
Yes.
and we pray we're not at the end.
Right?
So here we are. We're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And
Let's call it a phase.
yeah,
Right? We don't have to call it an exact point.
totally.
Perhaps.
Many seasons within the phase.
Okay, many seasons within midlife. I like that. I feel like that's a redefinition that it needs too, because I think people can be like, oh my God, now do I have a crisis? Am I over the hill? Like that sort of thing.
Yes, I think that a lot of this idea of midlife being a point is based on this idea that there's a hill, we reach the top, and now we are over the hill and we're on the other side. And I'm like, we're just in the spiral of our lives, somewhere in the middle. And there's a lot of juice in this time of life that as long as we're so fixated on this idea that we're over the hill, therefore orienting towards death in a death-phobic culture, let's say that that's what it is.
Right.
In a death-phobic culture, we're terrified of being over the hill for all the reasons. And I think women especially, it's a hard reckoning to say we're in midlife because of all of the stories about what the overculture says that means about us.
Yeah, like your pussy's dried up now and you're
dried up.
you're not useful and
You're
your
not
beauty's
sexy.
gone.
You're not sexy. You're not relevant.
Mhm.
Whatever you have to say is kind of old school. You know, just these narratives about women that I think, here's my soapbox.
I want it.
I think that it is a brilliant patriarchal narrative to say that women of a certain age are not sexy, not powerful, not interesting, not potent, because then we will fade away and we'll take all of the earned wisdom, all of the big picture seeing that we have at this point in life, all of the energy that we have to actually apply, not just towards tending our babies, but now out towards reshaping the world. And we'll just drink wine and watch Real Housewives and fade into the woodwork. And no offense to drinking a glass of wine or watching Real Housewives, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is that I think this is, and from talking to many girlfriends that are also in midlife and beyond, this is actually a potent time. There's still life, a lot of life, vigor, energy in our bodies. There is a way of seeing the world that is shaped by having fallen on our knees, perhaps by motherhood, caretaking parents, going through really hard life shit. And that humbles us, that brings us to our knees, that shapes our character, that kind of can take away some of the youthful idealism, but replace it with like a deeper resolve, hopefulness, care, and the wisdom that has been earned through all of that. And if the patriarchy wins at its narrative that we're just over the hill and we should obsess over youth and beauty and trying to stay young at all costs, in other words, to remain focused on just ourselves, then what we're not doing is directing all of that potency towards changing the world.
Totally.
And this is why I think that midlife eros, the unleashing of our potency at midlife, that I actually think is part of the game. That's actually what's happening. This is why I see this midlife eros, this potency, as the fuel of our leadership.
Oh, that is so well said. And I'm so on board with everything that you just said. The paradox too, with what you just said. And then we sat down and like complimented how good we look for our age, right? And complimented each other. The paradox in that I think is super interesting is that we have done the work to embody this energy, to accept, and it's a glow from within. It's not about hanging on to the youthfulness, to the things that they tell us will make us youthful and beautiful. It's instead embracing where we are and finding that shine now in the things that we do that makes you look youthful, you know?
Yeah, because you can look at an 80-year-old, right, that is lit. They have a sparkle in their eyes.
Right.
And you're like, when I look into your eyes, I don't know if you're 6 or 6,000.
Right.
There's a life there. There's energy there. And so for me, I'm like, okay, it's nice if we, whatever, feel great in our bodies or, whatever.
For sure.
Fine. But I think what's much more interesting is that we're just alive. I don't care what people wear. You want to dress head to toe in oversized baggy linen. Do you? You want to wear makeup or no makeup? Do you? You want to use the serums or get the surgeries or not or whatever? Do you? For me, I don't care about that. It's not about that. Everybody gets to do them. What I'm really passionate about is that thing that you just said, lit from within.
Yeah, it's that inner glow and that vibrancy. I think vibrancy is such a great word for it because I do all the things. And don't be fooled. I'll get a laser treatment. I just did a series of microneedling with exosomes. I mean, it's great. I like taking care of my skin and I like enhancing what I've got. But you can do all those things in the world and still not glow if you aren't really tapped into what we're calling midlife eros here and everything that you just described. So let's dive into what that looks like and how you guide people to rekindle that, or even for me, what else can I be doing?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, what does eros mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So my understanding of eros is that eros is just the force of life moving through us, animating us, moving through our bodies. There's a connotation that eros means is sex, that's just
the
sex.
word erotic, right?
Right.
Yes.
And it's not that. It's just so much more than that, right? So if we're allowing life to move through us, then what does that mean? It means that, when I'm interacting with my children, right, I'm with them, right? I'm opening my energy field, my senses, and I am hearing them. My heart is overflowing. I feel love. There's connection. Doesn't mean I'm not feeling frustrated. It probably means I feel whatever I'm feeling more, right? More truly, more honestly.
In your humanity.
Yes, I'm
fully.
In my humanity. So to me, eros is allowing ourselves to be in relationship with life deeply.
Love it.
It's intimacy with life. And then if we extend that, right, as like, I am now allowing the juice of life to move through me. I am animated by life. I feel passion. I feel rage when I feel rage. I feel curiosity. I feel joy. There is more life in this body. There is more life moving through this body. There's more energy moving through this body. And then I get to direct that energy, that passion, that curiosity with potency towards whatever I want to direct it at. I also can open to receive and I can direct that and there is potency because I'm opening to receive more.
Yeah.
So I feel more deeply my love for the people that I love, my care for people across oceans, my care for the world. So to me, it's this intimacy with life that is of receiving, a deep receiving, and also a deep offering. The flow of that deep receiving and offering that can only happen when we're opening, when we're saying yes to life and opening to life. So I like to say that because I think that when we talk about Eros, people are like, oh, okay, you're talking about like kinky wild sex or something. And I'm like, oh.
I mean, maybe. That's one pathway. One pathway.
But what allows you to be embodied in that, to me, is Eros. What allows you to be open to that, to be embodied to that. It's actually the same thing that allows me to be playful with my children, that allows me to allow for conflict in a relationship and lean in instead of just shutting my heart down and staying angry and walking away and staying away. It's the same thing, that openness. I can apply that everywhere. It's the same thing that allows me to sort of say, oh my gosh, I really want to write that book. And instead of crumbling with like, who am I? I can't, I'm too busy, all the reasons, I go, okay, I'm going to say yes, because that's the calling on my heart. And I just imagine what would happen in the world if women at midlife said yes to life.
I know.
Said yes to, instead of saying, well, the overculture says that I'm not hot, I'm not interesting, I'm not valuable, so I yield to that. I collapse inside of that. What if instead we were like, that is a lie. I am more interesting, powerful, potent, have more wisdom coursing through my body. I've lived, I have learned some things, and I'm gonna say yes to life and see what life has in store for me and like go for it, full tilt.
That's the truth. Because it really is the truth. When you sit there and think, is that true? Invite some Byron Katie work. I don't know if you've studied much Byron Katie, but I love her. But like that really does invite you to say, is that true? Did I create a story where, I'm not relevant anymore? It's like, no, the truth is you do have more experience. Hands down, that's the truth.
That's the truth.
You have more experience, period, right?
More years on the planet, more experience.
We can objectively say that is true.
Yes.
So like just some really basic things you can really tap into and at least start there probably.
Yeah. And, by midlife, most of us have had the experience of maybe having children, losing loved ones, caregiving, elders, or even a dying pet. We've just had more life experience that cracks our hearts open in these ways that I feel like wisdom combined with lived experience and the openness of the heart, the way that allows us to build potency and channel energy is profound.
That's cool. I want to hear like practical tactics for that. But first, how did you get here? How did you come to this?
So a couple of things. First, I have been doing leadership work with women for 17 years now, found my way into it over time. And every time I realized, especially when I was working with women around my age in midlife, that if there was a closedness in their energy, their body, like their true yes to life, the potency of their work, their ability to bring their work forward in the world, their the potency of their voice, their confidence in their leadership was all so diminished. And there was nothing that we could do to be like, oh, well, take a public speaking class, do this thing, do that thing, practice it more. What had to be worked is that yes to life, is that deep opening, is the kind of confidence that isn't just I'm good at something, but I trust me.
Yeah.
And that cultivation of I trust me. I trust this body. I trust my wisdom. I trust my ancestors, like my well ancestors. I trust what's moving through me. I trust myself enough to open to life, to sort of channel through what's here in the moment, even if I don't exactly know what I'm going to say. That was the thing that needed to be unlocked. That was the thing that actually contributed to their leadership. So tracking it in other people was one part of the path. And the other part of the path was I went through a period, I have 2 little kids, they're 8 and 3, and was with their dad, had same dad, both kids. We were together for many years. I think our true path, like the purpose of our relationship was to have those kids. That was the purpose of our relationship. Beyond that, we were like co-parents. A lot of people listening, watching probably have this experience, have had or are having this experience where like, there's not a lot of there. There's not a lot of passion. There's not a lot of like, Yeah. And I was starting to feel the potency of my leadership was diminishing in staying in that relationship.
Yeah.
And it reached a point where I was like, am I gonna actually go all in on trying to make this relationship be what I deeply long for in my life? Or am I gonna let it go and go for what I deeply long for? Because staying in this place where I am not having nor fully choosing, if I'm being honest, what I deeply long for, that is not what I stand for. And so I am going against what I actually stand for by just saying, oh, well, this is what it is. We have the reasons, the kids. I had my reasons.
Yeah, and can I just throw in there, you wonder what you're modeling to your children.
Totally.
And I'm speaking from experience of what you just said.
Yeah. And so I just had to reckon with, this is a place where I am not in alignment with what I deeply, deeply believe.
Big time.
Which is that
yes,
I have to orient towards my deepest yes, not only for the world, but also for me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not orienting towards my deepest yes for both the world and for me, then I am actually failing myself and also failing my children and failing him, because he also has a path that he could get on with someone else.
That's right.
And, or by himself,
yeah,
that is more true. And so walking through the portal of separating and yielding to the unknown, surrendering to the possibility of just being single for the rest of my life, who knows, because can't control that.
Yep.
But in service of my devotion to living my truth,
yep,
was a big part of the path. And as soon as I said yes, it was like the floodgates opened. And I felt like my body was like, girl, we've been waiting for you. Thank you very much for not just slowly withering on the vine, but saying,
well, this must have been pretty recent if you have a 3-year-old.
It was pretty recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for not just withering on the vine.
Mm-hmm.
And instead saying, no, I am a juicy, ripe peach. Why am I pretending that I'm dead?
I mean, I did the same thing. I've not heard it put so eloquently. So yeah, I think a lot of people can definitely relate. And I know I've never put it that eloquently. And I think I said to my second husband, I feel like my hotness is being wasted. But that was me paraphrasing.
Exactly.
But I did. I just felt like I didn't understand. Is this it? And you just, I think that's those, when you're asking those questions to yourself, those are indicators of like, okay, what is my truth? What do I really want? What do I crave in a relationship? And I was trying to get that there, but we weren't on the same page. And so I left. And yeah, I can completely understand. And it's really hard to do. And I love that you brought up like, maybe I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. And like, I really put in the effort with myself, which I've talked a lot about on this show, to okay, what does that look like if I am with me for the rest of my life? I better love the shit out of myself. I better have the best sex ever with myself. I better, like I did those things because I was like, okay, I'll fall in love with me. And like, that's a huge part of this thing, like falling in love with you, right?
Yes. And I think that we have this idea that if we're going to have like the passion, the power, the potency, the empowerment that we crave, we need to get somewhere for that to happen, right? Oh, if I can get into a great relationship or if I can fix my marriage, then I can feel that. And I'm like, actually, what is required is being honest. And I had to be really truthful with myself that that our relationship, the highest expression of my relationship with my kid's dad, was for us to be co-parents, period. That was the highest expression. And so to honor that truth and say, I set you free from the notion of partnership so that we can be what we actually are to be, which is co-parents. And let's live into the truth here instead of trying to push a lie and suppress our truths. And that, I think that is the thing. It wasn't about leaving or staying. It was about following the truth, my truth. That was the thing that opened everything for me.
Is he in the spiritual world too? Because, the way you speak is very aligned with like, spiritual communities.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, in his own way, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just curious because, sometimes I like to break things down a little practically. And, I don't know. I just like to keep it really simple. And like, when you say our highest expression was co-parenting, I mean, sometimes that's friends too, right? Like, it's like an acceptance of this is where we are in this lifetime, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I come from divorced parents.
Oh, you do?
I do. And so
When did they get divorced?
when I was 3.
Oh, wow.
So I think part of the holding on was that I was really afraid to recreate the more difficult parts of my parents being separated for my kids.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
And we haven't, which is amazing. So spoiler alert, it's going much better for them than it went for me as a little kid. But I was afraid to recreate that. And I think that had me holding on a lot. And I had to reckon with that as well.
I bet.
And
There's truth-telling in that for you, for sure.
totally. And I think part of it was also saying, this relationship isn't ending. My relationship with my kid's dad didn't end when we separated, but it just moved into its truth. And so I think that's the thing. That was a reckoning point for me, which is what is the truth here? Like if I'm just being honest, if I'm not trying to convince myself of anything, if I'm not trying to convince him of anything, what is the truth here? The truth is that it actually, what feels the most natural, the most honest for us is that we're much more co-parents, hopefully friends, like we can lean into that. And we're really not lovers. Let's stop lying about it. We're just not.
I love it.
And neither of us really, this is the thing. I do think that there are people who could be in a place in their relationship where they're like, we're not acting like lovers, but you know what? We really want to be.
Yeah.
And we have the energy, the spark, at least one of us, to lead and put in the energy towards reigniting that fire and coming back together. So I'm not saying like, oh, if it's not there right now, then it's never going to be and everybody should just separate. No, I'm saying that but somebody's got to lead that charge.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We were sort of falling into apathy.
Yeah.
And that is the Eros killer. That is the life force drain.
Yeah.
And so
I was like,
and even with our health, if you stop caring, your body's going to fall apart.
apathy.
If you
so
stop caring about anything, it's probably going to fall apart. And so we were falling into apathy in our relationship, and neither one of us really was like, I'm going to lead the charge and had a willing participant. We were like, no, it feels like the truth is like, we're not lovers.
Yeah.
So let's stop pretending that we are going to be when neither of us wants to lean in and create that, if we're being really honest. And it was so liberating to just tell the truth to ourselves and each other and let it go and let it transform. And, for me then to start dating in midlife with 2 little kids and go through notice where I had all of the patriarchal stories and the programming from the overculture of men my age can date women my age or 27-year-olds. Why would you want this body with the boobs that are breastfed for 6 years almost? And why would you want this, that, and the other? To be like, I'm awesome. And if there's somebody that doesn't want this, okay, then I don't need to convince anybody to want me.
No, that's where that falling in love with yourself comes in, right? And that's like it gives you a new perspective on your own value and worthiness. And you're like, oh, wow. And just being in love with yourself, suddenly people are like, oh, you're glowy. I'm interested, and then there it is. Like, you seem worth loving because you're loving yourself.
Yeah. When I made my one and only dating profile, because I met my beloved pretty shortly after.
Okay, you're already in a relationship.
I'm in a relationship.
All right.
It was very amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Feels so good to we fit. Yeah. But when I made my dating profile, I was like, I'm just going to be totally me.
Yeah.
I put in pictures where I was glam and sassy. I had pictures where I didn't have any makeup on. It was just I'm just going to give you the tapestry of me and share my heart with my words also. And that way, anyone who's attracted is actually attracted to the real me, not a facade of me. But I did that because I like the real me. And if I didn't like the real me, I'm sure I would have put out a version of me or a facade of me that wasn't real. I don't know, to try to attract somebody that would want things that I think are attractive instead of being I am attractive because I'm me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's even possible to embody Eros energy without experience?
What do you mean without experience?
I mean, without really knowing who you are and years of life experience under your belt.
I think it's a great question. I think that Eros, the full opening of Eros, is something that we're particularly primed for in midlife and beyond because we've been cracked open by life, which doesn't mean that we can't have turn on earlier in life.
But sure, not saying that.
Of deep erotic energy pulsing through our veins and our bodies. I think that we're just ripe for it.
I think so too.
Phase of life, truly ripe for it.
I never had it at the younger ages. And it was really my mid to late 40s where it just, it was and a new understanding of it. And I found that so surprising. And when I see women who are wound up about turning whatever age, insert age, I'm like, oh my God, you have so much time. Please relax.
Well, I also think that it's a time for us to confront the stories. It's a time for us to confront our ageism that goes sometimes in both directions. So I've really, and still do, have to confront inside of me, the things that are resisting just getting older, and also the things that are clinging to youth, or even my judgments of younger women, or even my judgments of my younger self. And one of the, I have a program called Ripe with a co-facilitator, a dear friend of mine. Her name is Ginny Muir, and it's about awakening Eros for women in midlife. And one of the practices that we do in the program is we have women write a letter to a version of their younger selves that they judge. Often, for me, it was my 19-year-old self who was a party girl and, doing a lot of party girl things. And the letter, one of the things that we ask them to do in the letter is be really aware of whether they are being patronizing to that younger self at all, because that patronizing is a contempt for that younger self. It's not a love. It's not an embrace.
Would that be like, oh, you're just...
Oh, you did your best, that you didn't know better, you sweet thing. It's patronizing.
Mm-hmm.
And instead to say, what was the wisdom? Like that 19-year-old Nisha, of course she did her best. And of course she didn't know. But that doesn't mean that she was stupid. She was doing the very best with what she knew. And there was some wisdom in that. And so one of the things I did as a party girl was a lot of party favors, if you will, and going to clubs and dancing until 3 o'clock in the morning. And I judged that for a lot of years. Like, oh, I was disembodied and disconnected, and I was seeking love and validation from boys. And that's not true. But there's a bigger truth to it, which is that I was seeking an experience of intimacy and ecstasy. I had a sense that like the default way of living, you just go to work, you get your paycheck, you go home, you have a drink, you go to bed, you do it again. There was something, you kind of, people say, how are you? And you say, I'm fine, thanks. How are you? And you never tell anybody the truth.
Mm-hmm.
There was a knowing in my 19-year-old self, like, this is messed up. This is not even real. And I was looking for real.
Mm-hmm.
And so 3 o'clock in the morning, dancing on the dance floor, smoking a cigarette with my girlfriends. And one of us would grab the other one and tell them like, I feel so insecure about my body. And we would have these deep conversations on the dance floor and in the bathroom at the club and back at home.
Yeah.
And like, did I ever tell you that I was assaulted when I was younger? And there was a realness and an intimacy that we were experiencing that I can look back now and say, go you. You knew to look for more. You knew to search for deeper meaning. You knew to search for deeper connection. You knew that there was something more than the sort of consensus reality, and you wanted that more. Now, would I make the same choice today in my life for how to find that more and how to find that meaning? No, but I'm in a different phase of life. So I got to write a letter to my younger self and say, you're amazing. You're so wise and so beautiful, and not patronize her and, oh, you didn't know better. But instead, you did such a good job with the best that you had to find that deeper meaning. So this, in midlife, I think it's a crucial time for us as women to examine, what are my judgments? What are my judgments of myself and my body? What are my judgments of older women and aging? What are my judgments of younger women and youthfulness?
Yeah.
And what kind of life do I actually want to live? How do I want to relate to this body? How do I want to treat this body? What kind of sex and relationships do I actually want to have? How do I want to be as a mom? And we're never going to be perfect, but can I deeply commit to orienting towards that? That is really, I think this is a time of reckoning, and it's also a time of practice.
Yeah.
Of like, well, maybe I need to get comfortable dancing naked. Maybe I need to try out some pleasure practices and push my edges. Maybe I need to like get more dialed in my health and my fitness and take better care of this body. So I think this time for like a deeper reckoning, a deeper truth telling with ourselves, and healing, forgiveness, and also practice, do the things that are actually going to orient us towards the kind of elderhood that we really want to have. And I know for myself, when I think about my goals as an elder, I'm like, I want to be a trusted elder. I want,
That I've ever thought about.
I want younger people to trust that they can come to me and ask me questions, and that I'm a person that will like unconditionally hold them in high regard and encourage them on their path. And I also want to, be a master of energy sex and multi-orgasmic.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I want to be a lit 80-year-old.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know.
So there's work to do now to orient in that direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love those questions you just listed. I think that that's a great place to start when people just start asking a few questions like, oh, okay, where am I resistant? And like, how can I open up more? And those were all such good examples. I love those. And so where do you tell people to start? Like, if they're just asking those questions, then what kind of like, I love the letter, by the way. That's incredible and beautiful, what you said to yourself. And do you do the same letter? I've asked like 5 questions here, sorry. Do you do the same letter like as an elder or write one to yourself there? Or I've never even thought about,
That's a great idea.
well, that's not totally true. I have kind of thought about, my elderness and what that looks like. And now that I'm with someone 15 years younger, it presents a little differently because I'm like, oh shit, that calls up some stuff too. Are you still going to love me when I'm 80 and you're 65?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like that's a pretty big age difference, I think. I don't know. He'll be 45, I'll be 60. It's interesting to play with. And it unearths some things in myself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bet. I think there's so much work to do here in this phase of life because, when I say work, I mean that continual picking up the rocks and looking under them, like you said, like, wow, how do I feel about that? And what do I need to accept? What do I need to embrace? And what are some lies that I might be telling myself?
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that I've just gotten in from culture? And what conversations do I need to have?
Yeah.
So I love I actually haven't thought of that, but I love the idea of also writing a letter to the elder self. What I love to do is have my elder self write a letter to me.
Oh.
So I'll sort of sit down, call my 80-year-old self into my heart.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And ask her,
Mm-hmm.
or tell her, like, I'm scared. Like, I'm scared that, my partner might not be attracted to me when I get older. Because he'll be 50 and he could date a 30-year-old, and I'll be 50 and I won't be 30. So I'll be, we'll be 60 and he could date a 40-year-old and I won't be 40, I'll be 60. So, and I'll say, I'm scared. What do you have for me? And then I'll just listen from my heart and write her answer, or I'll say like, what do I need to know now so that I can be the most vibrant and healthy? What do I need to know now? What do I need to do now so that I can be vibrant and healthy so that I can grow into you, vibrant and healthy you, because that's how I see you.
That's so good because we know those answers.
Yes.
And they're not complicated.
Yeah.
They're usually, I'm guessing the answers you got, I don't know, but I already know they're not complicated. They're simple. They're not going to say like, go get injections.
Yeah.
Your face.
I mean, we can choose to do that. It's fine,
Sure,
right?
sure.
But
No,
like,
I've gotten plenty of
but
injections.
it's the deeper wisdom, right?
Yeah.
The wisdom of like, I don't know what she might say, but like, honey, your beauty is what shines from within you.
Yes.
So just love your people and love your life full tilt, and that beauty will pour out of you, So that kind of deep wisdom. And, to get trippy for a minute, we think that we can, I love being trippy. Of course I can write a letter to my younger self, or I can commune with my inner child. And I'm like, but we can also, time is an illusion. We can also commune with our inner elder.
100%.
We'll talk about,
100%.
I have a meditation that guides people to commune with their elder self. So we can share that later. But my inner elder is in me. I think our inner elders are in us as much as our inner children. So communing with them, the more I've communed with my elder self, the less afraid I am of getting old. The less afraid the less in a death phobic culture, the less I feel death phobic, the less I'm afraid of being old, because I'm like, she's awesome. She's hot and lit and awesome. And you know what? She does not look 40 when she's 80. And it doesn't matter. She's awesome. And so that's one thing. I think a real practical thing that we can do in midlife is start looking for the women that are older than us, a little older, a lot older, that are lit from within, and start paying attention to how beautiful that is. Look beyond the surface, the wrinkles, the whatever, but oh, that's one who's lit. Like the pilot light is on, the fire is lit. That's one that's lit. And notice how beautiful she is. Because I think what we are conditioned to do is ignore women after a certain age, to invisibilize them and to obsess over youth and beauty from a very narrow patriarchal standard of the time. And so we'll notice younger women, oh, she's so this, she's so that, she's so this, she's so that. And I kind of want us to start turning our gaze towards older women that are really lit and see how beautiful they are, so that we're less afraid and we're more embracing. The other thing, hot tip that I have that I think is really powerful is to cultivate a daily practice of moving. It's what I call moving with the erotic creature.
Okay.
So it's pretty simple. Put on some music. It doesn't have to be the kind of music that you would listen to, singing in the car, as my collaborator Ginny Muir says, but like music that brings up emotion. So I love music that's like, listen, I don't really listen to like 9 Inch Nails in the car, but like listening to 9 Inch Nails in my erotic creature practice is like raw and intense and kind of, just, or like really soft, or the kind of music that makes me want to cry. And I have so many playlists I'm like recommend to everybody, like create playlists, like ragey playlists, playlists that make you feel really sexy, really soft, tender playlists. And just make a daily practice, 5 minutes a day, at least one song. That's it. It can just be one song. Get on the floor and then let your body move with the music.
Just on the floor.
We'll start on the floor. If you end up on your floor, fine. But it's not like dancing.
Yeah.
It's like the practice is just letting the music move your body. I find that like, it's like we're used to dancing to music or just listening to music. Yeah. It's a different thing to like, be on your hands and knees, sort of driving your body, or laying on your back and stretching your arms and legs up into the air.
I like it.
Or like curling up into the fetal position and like, softening our bodies. And so this practice of just moving our bodies with the music and with our emotion is a way to open our eros. It's a way to open our senses. It's a way to open our bodies. And often we'll be confronted.
Yeah.
We'll be confronted with like, we caught a glimpse of our thighs and we had a moment of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just invite, as we're confronted, to not loop with like, oh, I saw myself in the mirror and I look so awkward. Oh, I'm so ugly. Oh, I'm so this. Oh, I'm so
right. No.
Or like, oh, I saw my thighs and I saw you like, oh, I got to do something about that. Oh, what's wrong with me? Why didn't I do that? I shouldn't have eaten that thing. And I need to get. But instead to be like, oh, wow, there's my judgment. Like, I'm super grateful that I have this like cellulite and all.
Yeah.
And just go back to the movement. So whatever we're confronted with, notice it. Go back to the movement. Go back to like, how does my body want to move to this music in this moment? And that liberated movement practice is a way of really safely, because we're alone, we're in our own space, we're not performing for anyone, there's no one to be sexy for, we don't have to look good. We don't even have to have had a shower. It doesn't matter. It's just for us.
Yeah.
It's not for anyone else. It's not for Instagram. It's just for, if you want, but like do it for you. And then if you want to show us, sure. But like, it's just for us. And I think that practice of moving our bodies the way we want to move them for ourselves, not for anyone else, is such a powerful, I love me. I love and accept and trust me, the way that this body is, the way that this body moves, the way that these emotions move. And to me, that is sort of a practice that unlocks that deeper trust that allows us to tell ourselves the truth about our own lives, the truth about the choices that we want to make, the truth about what's not working and what we really want. And instead of like dying and fading, well, we're all going to die one day, but instead of just fading away when actually there's so much potency here to be unleashed into the world and into our lives and our relationships. That practice of like moving our bodies just for me is, I think, a really beautiful, powerful way of opening towards trusting ourselves and saying yes to ourselves and yes to life.
So interesting too, because we can overcomplicate it and think we have to do all these things. And it's like you literally, getting out of your head can actually do that, Did you
Play
do
a
it today?
song and move your body.
Did you do it today?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I haven't.
Did you do it yesterday?
Yes.
What song did you use?
Hosier.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Ah,
NFWMB.
I don't know that.
No one fucks with my baby. It's a great song.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
cool.
today yet.
I'll check it out.
Running around.
What are you going to do today? Do you know? Just whatever the mood strikes.
The song that's coming up right now is one of my favorites. It's a Zap Mama and Erykah Badu song called Bandy Bandy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Just a couple of
Oh, it gives me a
recommendations.
shot.
Good. Okay, good. This podcast is sponsored by Wands. Wands creates luxurious pleasure practice tools that help people become more connected to their bodies. They have a huge selection of incredible items like yoni eggs, the most gorgeous crystal pleasure wands you've ever seen, free bleed blankets, and my favorites, the trademarked glass cervix wand and the Venus wand, which is their heaviest wand made of stainless steel, and their new ecstatic vibrator. This company is woman-owned and creates products designed to help you become more connected to your body and your pleasure and support the healing of pelvic pain. Get yours today in their always discreet packaging at wands.com. That's Wands with 2 A's, WAANDS.com, and use my link in the show notes to get 10% off or enter the code Amy Edwards at checkout. Again, that's Wands, WAANDS.com. This podcast is sponsored by The Collective ATX. If you're looking for the best in hair extensions, it's The Collective ATX. They do mine, and I won't go anywhere else. I've tried them all over the years, and finally, I've found what makes my real hair stronger and fuller, and even works with my natural curl. They keep all their extensions in-house, so there's no wait, and they specialize in no damage to your natural hair like traditional hair extension methods. Plus, they're pros at color and covering gray. I have literally never in my life been happier with my color. They were named a top 200 salon by Salon Today in 2023. They've changed my hair journey. Let them change yours. The Collective ATX, link is in the show notes. I ebb and flow a little bit with practices like that, and I have to give myself grace around that because I'll forget and then come back to it.
Well,
and
that's the thing, right?
Mhm.
It's like I didn't do it today, and I'm talking about doing this as a
That's
practice. But, I think there's things that we have to do every day. Brush our teeth. And then there's things that, like this practice, that I think I love saying, could I commit to doing it every day for a week? And then recommit to doing it every day for a week. We can make these things habits, and then they can flow a little in and out of, it's the day, it's okay. Well, I mean, 3 days, it's okay. But then you know what it feels like to do it.
And the way you moved right then, like just describing it and stuff, you can tell that the habit has become part of you.
Yeah.
The practice has become part of you, which is kind of the goal, right? Like I feel like with meditation and stuff, I got to a point where it became a lot of what I do, right?
Totally.
Like who I am.
And then I think that that's the beautiful thing, right? What you're saying is like once we've done something enough that we know how it feels when we do it, we're like, oh, when I do that thing, I actually feel, I hear this a lot from women when we, have them start doing this erotic creature movement practice where they're like, oh my gosh, I felt so like grouchy, crunchy, contracted, frustrated, angry, self-doubting, low confidence. And all of a sudden I feel neutral, or I feel like excited, or I feel alive, or I feel sexy, or I feel empowered. So it's like a state shift. Yeah. Right? And then over time, they're like, wow, I feel more in touch with myself. So when I do it over time, I notice I feel more in touch with myself. I notice I feel less reactive around my kids. And I'm less like I'm sort of pushing them away or tolerating them, and more like I'm just with them and I'm actually enjoying them and being with them more. Or like oh, all of a sudden my partner and I are having sex more, or I feel it's hot, I'm more relaxed in it. So I think the purpose of practice is both to notice like, oh, how we have an immediate state change, and also how it changes us over time. And then when we fall off the wagon, instead of just feeling lost, we can be like, you know what? I'm going to meditate. I'm going to meditate right now because I know that it gives me that state change immediately. Or if I do that for the next 5 days, this rut that I'm in is probably going to start to shift. I'm going to feel a lot better. So I think that's the power of practice, is not just like, I'm a good girl and I do it every day, check, and I just feel proud that I do my practice every day. And it becomes less of a check mark and more of a empowerment to change our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's like training where I can embody the feeling on demand.
Totally.
So for me, that's what meditation became, right? And even like a gratitude practice where they're like, write 5 things you're grateful for every day. And I was like, I just felt like I got past that to a point where I was like, I want to forget about the word gratitude. What does it actually just feel like? Which is weird, right? Like you take the word out of it. And I was like, so that's what I want to embody and magnetize from. And that's kind of like the same with the movement, right? Like you're getting in this other space, you've got the state change. How do you really feel? And then can you just draw into that when you need it? You know?
Exactly. And then, with the meditation practice, you're in traffic, you're super frustrated. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I actually know that I could just like,
I don't really get frustrated in traffic anymore.
Second.
Like I don't even, like I'm like in a Zen space in traffic now. I'm like,
Yeah. It was like the other day, my friend and I who are visiting here, we got a flat tire with the rental car. We had driven by an accident and immediately, boom, one of the tires went to 0.
Yeah.
And so now we're in like a strip mall parking lot, with a Little Caesars and a bodega and a couple of closed stores in the pouring rain. Like, all right, well, we're here.
It's rainy.
We're here for however long until the tow truck gets here. And we could have been like really frustrated by it. But also I was like, this, if we had to be the one with the flat tire or the ones that just got in a car accident, I saw a pregnant mama get out of her car. Thank goodness she was walking out of her car. But like, this was lucky. We were lucky.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful that we're okay. How lucky. It's just a flat tire. Who cares that we're, okay, we were supposed to go to dinner with a friend and she's waiting and it sucks, but like, it's okay. It's just life. And like with the movement practice, like I could notice like I'm feeling kind of crunchy and then, okay, have a second. And I didn't do the whole practice, but like I knew how to open my body.
Right.
The practice sort of
knows
how to work me in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I love what you were saying about
Yeah. I almost feel like, too, I've kind of gotten to a place where I'm like, life is a series of events. And if you're going to get mad about those events or get all wound up, let's say, you're almost kind of denying this experience that we're having. Like, did you think it was perfect? Like, did you think it was going to be like all bland?
Well, I think it's also because we have this idea that if we're really good people, good things will happen to us. And it's like,
maybe that was good. Maybe that, how do we know? How are we going to label your flat tire as bad? Maybe it prevented you from being rear-ended a mile up the road.
Totally.
That was going to give you whiplash for years. And
also the truth that like life isn't about fairness. Life is, good people sometimes die young, things happen and, meditating every day or being good doesn't prevent all the bad things that could happen in life. It's like we're living in the paradox of, I can lean into creating a gorgeous life and being an active participant in creating beauty in my life and in the lives of the people that I love and others. And also life is lifing and we're living in the great mystery of it all. And both of those things are true at the same time.
They most certainly are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got real wound up and I hadn't in a while. A couple weeks ago, my daughter had something going on with another friend and the mom was upset and the friend was upset and I felt like I couldn't do anything about it. It was just this weird situation. And I didn't have the answers, and I didn't know what was really going on. And I still don't know I heard versions, and like, then I told my other daughter and she raised a whole nother verse. She goes, what if blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God, I don't know, and like, it was weird. It weighed on me. I couldn't sleep. And I was like, golly, life is going to present these new problems. I don't even know where I'm going with this really. I guess just that life presents these new problems. You think you're at a certain point where you've trained yourself, and then suddenly you're like, oh my God, and you have to go through this letting go process again, and this like embodiment again of wisdom, or I don't even know where I'm going with
this.
But
I think this is also connected to like Eros at midlife in this particular way, which is like,
thank you for saving my story.
It's great. If I'm in the practice of saying yes to life.
Yeah, okay.
Then like when the hip goes funky, when I'm 75.
Oh, it happened sooner. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Like I still get to say yes to life.
Right.
Like
right.
If I start saying no to life, if I start saying it's all downhill, it's all bad, the best years are behind me, then everything that's going to happen from here on out, because the body is going to deteriorate over time. That's just life. Nobody dies looking like a 12-year-old.
No.
Yeah. In a body that's like a 12-year-old. And of course, we can do things so that we don't deteriorate as rapidly, hopefully.
Right.
We can care for these bodies. That matters. And also, like, things are going to happen. We're going to lose people we love and pets that we love. And, things are going to happen. If I'm saying yes to life, which is saying yes to Eros, if I am committed to meeting life with my yes. I am committed to being in my ripeness, in my aliveness, in my juiciness. I'm committed to like squeezing every drop out of this life. Then when the harder shit happens, I'm like, okay, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. Doesn't mean that it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't mean that I don't sometimes we're going to feel out of our depths sometimes.
Yeah.
But also I'm here for it. And that is what I want more than I want to look forever 21.
Yes. Damn right.
I want to be a yes to life.
Yeah.
And lit from within.
Damn right. My dad used to always say it's better than the alternative, meaning you're dead. Yeah. Like another year means like you get to live, right?
Totally.
Always better than the alternative. What you described about the Eros energy and midlife Eros reminds me a lot of Tantra. Is there a difference, or is it kind of the same, like energetic?
Yeah, totally.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because Tantra is really everything. Like when you talk to somebody. I mean, which it has these sexual connotations. And I think, of course, sexuality is such a great path to embody these things. But we can do things as simple as the dance that, for 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, the yes to life extends to every aspect of our lives.
Yes, right there.
So
yes.
I noticed that me saying yes to life more deeply, which was part of it, is me telling the truth about what's working, what's not working, what I really want.
That's a big part of it for anybody. Let's be
courageously moving towards that, even when that meant separation, even when that meant having to tell my kids that, mommy and daddy are separating, even when that meant big changes for our family, has opened this way of me feeling more deeply in relationship with all of my life, with my work, more excited about my work, less tense about parenting, and just, I have 2 little kids. It can be real full on, especially being single mom, like at home alone with them, and they're climbing the walls and they're fighting, and I have 2 little boys. Yeah. It's a lot of energy in my house. And I just feel I can imagine. I'm rolling with it more than even when I had another adult in the house to help. Like, I felt more tense and less capacity, more reactive even then than I feel now. And it's because I'm a deeper yes to life.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Well, good. Perfect. We're coming up on time. So what did we miss what is on your heart that you want to leave people with? Because what you just said was so beautiful too.
I mean, maybe we've already said this in 50 different ways.
That's
I
okay.
just really want women of all ages. So even women approaching midlife, right? Because I think the more that women approaching midlife get excited for it instead of like dreading it, the more that we become women in midlife who are already yesing where we are in life. But I think I really want women in midlife to be like, what we see in our lives and what we see in the world that we don't like, we are the most primed and positioned to change it. Not the young ones that are growing up, not the old white dudes in suits. Us. We are the most
power.
Yes. Our passion, our deep care, the energy in our lives, even though it might be less energy than 20 years ago or 10 years ago, we are the most primed to change the world and change our lives. And the commitment to eradicating the lies of the overculture and of patriarchy from our own minds and bodies, if we can get really committed to eradicating those lies and looking for deeper truths and aligning with those deeper truths, which is like, the fruit is now ripe. The fruit wasn't ripe when I was 20. The fruit, it was like, when you pick a peach and it's not ready yet? It's hard and it doesn't have as much flavor.
Yeah.
Very firm, very pretty. A model peach. That is a great peach to take a picture of, but like the peach you want to eat is a little soft. It's juicy. You bite into it and it's like, the juice is running down your arm. That's us. That's where we're at. And so to actually embrace like, holy shit, most of the stuff in my head about this time in my life is probably a lie. And the deeper truth that I am choosing to align with is that this is the time for me to be ripe, lit, alive, in ecstasy, like fully saying yes to and choosing the most gorgeous life that I can imagine for myself, and then fully giving myself to the kind of world that I want to live in by also living it.
Yes.
And I think that underneath it all, that deep commitment to eradicating the lies and living in the truth of who we actually are at midlife. That's the thing. That's all I want. If anyone takes anything away from that, just align with that deeper truth, because I think this is actually how we become the leaders in a world that really needs women of wisdom to lead.
Yeah. Oh, don't we though?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to be that. Like, yes.
Yeah. And
I'm here
also,
for it.
we deserve to have great sex.
And that.
And
that.
wild love.
Yeah, we sure do.
And to be met and seen by our friends, and to have friends that we see and meet, and partners or lovers that we feel met and seen by, and to see and meet them. So why not? Let's go for it.
Yeah. What do you say to men?
What I say to men is, women in midlife are super hot. If you can't see it, you're missing out, dude. Get with the program.
Yeah.
And, if you have a woman in your life that feels insecure about her body or insecure about her power or potency, help her see how beautiful she is.
For sure. I realized when I started dating in my late 40s after my second divorce that not only did I have to learn how to date, which I've talked a lot about, but I had never dated anyone younger than myself. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And it was very liberating as well, and I think I appreciated myself more by being appreciated by people who are younger.
Yeah.
Men and women.
Totally. Yeah. I think there's this story nobody can love us until we love ourselves. And I understand the wisdom in that. And I also think that sometimes being seen by someone else, loved by someone else, helps us see ourselves and love ourselves more clearly and more deeply. It's both.
There's value in that for sure. And if we're willing to stay open to it, if we're willing to believe them, If you don't have that self-trust, sometimes you won't even believe when someone gives you a compliment or says they love you or something like that, because you don't know your own lovableness. So it's like, it's like all over the place a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I would say to men is, if you're gonna, speak love into a woman at midlife, don't make it about what still looks good about her. Like, oh, but you're not, it could be worse. Everything, could be saggy. You look hotter than most women your age.
Yeah.
But like, what is actually so awesome about her now as she is,
Mm-hmm.
And then just keep doing that forever.
And then keep doing that forever. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. This was amazing and wonderful. I loved every moment. You're so eloquent and so wise. So thank you for all that you shared. How could people maybe join your program or work with you?
Yeah. So I have a whole bunch of, many programs, but
Okay.
one of my offerings is called Soul of Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
It is membership for women. And it's really what we've done is taken what I have done is taken what I consider to be the soulful qualities of leadership, the soul qualities of leadership. So I think the dominant paradigm of leadership is really about dominance. It's really about dominance and submission, not in a hot way, but suppression and power, but not like the power that we all have. It's like power over. And
what does that mean? Power?
Meaning leadership as having power over others rather than what I think of as leadership, which is we are all leaders in our own ways. We all come here with a deep purpose. We all have innate value and wisdom. We all matter. And it's not just about being the loudest or being this way, the skinniest or the prettiest. It's about being who we are at our best, at our highest. And so Soul of Leadership we have 12 soul qualities of leadership: sovereignty, courage, receptivity. I could go on. And it's about cultivating those inner qualities of leadership so that everything we do, our parenting, our businesses, you name it, is fueled by that deep embodiment.
Yeah, because we're leading any time. I mean, like with that example that I gave, I thought, well, gosh, I have some options here. How am I going to show up for it, And like, I wanted to have this open conversation and show up as my best self and listen, And like, I felt like that is a type of leadership, like how you're showing up in friendship relationships or in weird situations like that, or, just anything. We're always really, that's what I think that you're saying too, is like how we show up in the world.
Yeah, leadership is how
the example we're setting.
Yeah, exactly. It's how we show up in every area of life all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. So that program is really amazing. Community and lots of deep practices, lots of togetherness in that group. So people can find everything through my website, which is just my name, nishamoodley.com. And then also there is a free guided meditation to meet your elder self. So
okay, I want to do that. That's free, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'll be sure and put all those links in the show notes. They will be there for everyone. And just thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm so
thank
happy
you so much
because you reside in Canada.
I reside in Canada.
Where?
I reside on the West Coast on a tiny island close to Vancouver.
What's it called?
Salt Spring.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm so happy you made it to Austin, Texas, and we got to do this in IRL.
Thanks for having me.
In person. Yes, of course. And thank you to everybody for being here, because it's these types of conversations too that keep elevating that power that we have. And when you listen and when we engage and maybe you send it to a friend and then you talk about it, like that's perpetuating and growing this beautiful energy that we have at our fingertips if we're willing to step into it. That is exactly what Nisha was talking about. And I'm just like, I'm excited by it. I noticed, I'm just going to tag this on really quick, but I was sitting with younger women one day and I was the oldest one there, and it just felt really good. Like I felt good. I liked where I was in my life and I thought, ooh, that's cool. that's an interesting shift. And not that I didn't value where they were and know that I could learn from them, but it's fun to play with those moments and really step into the fullness of who we are right now. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to our guest, Nisha. Please follow her. Everything's in the show notes. And just thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so incredibly grateful. And if you want to connect further, you can always reply to my newsletter. If you haven't signed up for that, sign up at amyedwards.com or amyedwards.info and follow me on Instagram at realamyedwards. And I love you so much. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Till next time.
Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, and follow us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Keep shining bright.